Hello and welcome back to part 2 of this recapping video from my Pioneer SX838. Part 1 you can find there. If you haven't seen that, watch that first. This one won't make as much sense. Now, as I said in the last video, I really wanted to get all this in one hour video, but there's just too much to do. So the last video was about 7 hours worth of footage. This one is similar again in total, but I've managed to trim this one down to just under an hour. So doing well, doing better than last time. I think in this video, from memory, you're going to see me recap the tuner board, change the filter caps and the power and speaker protection cap there as well. You're going to see me remove this front panel here. You're going to see a couple of little mishaps along the way, change all the bulbs and then give the voltages and everything a good test at the end, and you'll see exactly how I do that. So yeah, this is my 4th video for this unit. Feel free to check my channel out for previous videos if you haven't seen them. And please, if you find any of this stuff useful or interesting, hit the subscribe button because that really helps me out too. And then just quickly, before we jump into where I left off on the last one, I just want to say thank you to those of you that commented on the last one and flagged that I had used the incorrect cables on the auxiliary input. What you saw me do in that last video is replaced with these. These are the exact ones. I've pulled them out. These single core wires, and obviously incorrect and should be shielded audio cable, not this stuff. So I've pulled these out, replaced it with some shielded audio cable, so we're good to carry on. But genuinely, thank you for flagging because it's good for everybody else to know, and it is good for me as well to make sure I get this changed to the proper cabling. So I will say, just for the record, I listened to it before and after going from this to this, and audibly, I couldn't hear a difference, but that's not to say that I recommend this or that this is the right thing to do. Shielded audio cable is used for a reason, but yeah, just interesting. Probably a different story should I have hooked it up to the scope. That's enough of me waffling on. Let's just carry on where we left off. Okay, so we just finished this tone board, put it back together. We've cleaned this all out, all the switches and pots on this board. We've just recapped and put new transistors on the microphone board. Okay, now I'm gonna go and give this bracket a bit of a clean, and then we're going to put it back and mount all these boards back to the front. Okay, so I just took that in the house and gave it a nice wash with warm soapy water. I'm happy with it now. So let's get it back together. I forgot to clean this out, which I want to do. It's the power switch. So we're going to do that as well. Now let's get it back together. Well, that's that back together. So, dim bulb time. Right, so it's the next day. I ran out of time yesterday, but anyway, back today, just done the tone board, just done the mic board and put it all back together and cleaned all the switches and pots out. So now, time to put it on the dim bulb before moving to the tuner board. So, here we go. Let's plug it in and let's hope that we don't get a bright bulb. In, on, make sure that's... What's the off position on this? Down, I believe. So switch that on. Pray. No bright bulb. Okay, good. We're good. Did the relay click? I get far too excited. Far too excited. Hang on. Let's do that again. Listen for the relay. Yay, we got the relay click. Okay, good. Right, what was that? Right, so turn that off. We're making real good progress on this. I've got the tuner board left to do. I've got the 2 main filter caps and the other cap on the chassis there to do. But that might be it. Then I might be done inside. So let's get this done today. Filter caps, no, tuner board first, which I've read is a pain. But anyway, tuner board first, recap transistors, filter caps. So not too much left. Good. Let's just get this done and try and get this done today, shall we? Let's do it. Now, from what I've read, this board here is a nightmare. And some people don't bother. They just leave it. Mind you, some people leave a lot of what I've done already. So It's probably a pointless comment, but given how far I've come, leaving this seems ridiculous. I may as well get these recapped, especially as there's so many blue caps on here which are known to go bad. So I'm going to persevere. I'm going to get this done, then move on to these filter caps over here and the chassis cap before replacing all the lamps. But we're going to start with this beast. Once the tuner board's done, we are almost home. So let's just get this done. Okay, so to get this board up, I'm going to have to remove this tuner wheel, which, as you can see, as I turn that, this turns, which moves the dial for the tuner. Some of you know that already, some of you might not. So I want to tape the wires in that spot. I don't want them to move. So I'm going to put some tape there like that, push it against the string, and then when I put it back on later, just need to put it back on the same sort of angle so it's nice and tight and taut. But yeah, we are going to remove this now. I'm not sure when it stopped recording, but it did stop recording. I'm not sure why. But I removed that wheel from the side, having taped all the string to it so that the string can't move, because it's important that it stays in the same position it's in. And I've just let it hang, and then I've taped it there to keep it out of the way. I've removed 8 screws from the top of the board, which I don't know if you saw me do that either. So there were 8 screws, 4 this side, 4 that side, holding the board onto the chassis. And now I've lifted it and I'm trying to tip it up, but there's not enough slack in the wires for me to get access underneath with my desoldering gun. So I'm tempted, because it feels like the orange ones are the ones that are the shortest and give me the most issues at the moment. So I'm tempted to cut these orange wires, which is what I think I'm going to do, and then see how much I get then. And then when it comes to putting it back together, I'll just resolder these orange ones back on, and any more that I might need to snip. So taking a couple of photos, I'm now going to snip the orange wires and see how I get on from there in terms of access from underneath. We're getting there, we're getting there. Just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 caps left to go. All blue ones, all need to come out. So let's carry on. Can you see that lifted trace? Right there. See? So I'm going to have to fix this. I've tried scraping a bit of this coating off here on this trace. And now what I will do is heat this up, get that piece of pin there, fold it over onto that trace and try and solder it to the trace there. Otherwise I'll have to do a wire jump from that to the next point, which will be over here. But let's see. Hopefully you can see what I've done there. I've folded that over onto the bare trace and now I'm going to add a bit of solder to that. That should do the job. A bit smoky there. Yep. It's solid now, not moving, so I'm happy with that. That should do just nicely. Looks like I missed a couple points. There. Anything else? Okay, so the tuner board is fully recapped. There's a new transistor on there, and I've resoldered all these wires back onto the pins. It may not be the prettiest job, but it does the job. I had to cut them off in order to give me access, and yeah, that just seemed like the simplest way to get them back on. So all wired up to the correct pins, recapped, new transistor. Time to get this wheel, this tuner wheel, back on here. Put the lid back on and then give her another test on the DIN bulb. It's now on there, and if I turn it, yeah. Oh. Yeah, tune the dial moves. Good. Very good. Okay, so now that's done. Let's pop this shield back on, or should we go give it a wash? Oh no, that's not dirt. That's not dirt, that really. That's kind of tarnished, but I'm going to try. I'm going to go give it a wash and see how we get on. Well, maybe a touch cleaner, but not really. Mostly just tarnished. It's certainly clean, just not any shinier, but never mind. Right, let's get it back on then. Lovely. Right, well, so that's the last board done. All boards now fully recapped. Got new transistors, the odd diode, resistor, and there's a new relay. So time to DIN bulb test again now that the tuner board's finished. Make sure that we're all good there before we move on to these three final capacitors here and the bulbs. But let's try it on a DIN bulb now. See how we get on. Okay, another go on the DIN bulb for about the 7th time, something like that. On. We're going to pray again. Please, no bright light. On. Yeah! Relay clicked. Yes, we're good. Okay, great. Now, not much left. We've got the two large filter capacitors. We've got the other capacitor there next to the relay on the chassis and some bulbs to change, and we are done inside. Maybe a little bit of cleaning, but that's it. So let's get those last few bits done. We can do this. So next up then is these three large capacitors here. I have replacements for each of them, and very important when you're replacing these is to try and find some that are the exact same diameter, because these are fitted in here with a bracket that is made for this diameter capacitor. These days it's actually quite a bit harder to find them this large, but managed to. So this is what I'm putting back in, rated slightly better than that. Same capacitance, slightly higher voltage, perfectly safe to do so, but they're going to replace those. Slightly different pin layout, but I'll explain that later. And then there's one more little capacitor there to replace under the light bulb strip here, that one. So I need to replace that. And two resistors to fit to the underside of these, which I will show you as well. Just helps to discharge the capacitor when the unit's powered off. Anyway, so that's all we've got left to do. So let's get this unit flipped over and get to work. Back on the underside, Here's the underside of those 3 caps. 1, 2, 3. We're going to get these disconnected. A couple of points to note here. The positive and negative terminals of these large capacitors are denoted by the colorings. So this one's a silver terminal and that one's a black terminal. See that black mark there? That tells you that that's the positive and that's the negative. Likewise on this, we've got the black one there, you can barely see, and the silver one there. What's interesting is that the positive leads run to the positive terminal on this, and the ground lead comes from the negative. But that then runs to the positive terminal of this capacitor here. And these cables, these white ones, these white wires run to the negative terminal of this capacitor here. So it's really important that you get this configured correctly when you're putting it back together. Otherwise the unit just won't work. It probably will stay in protection mode, or it might even break the unit. So if you're going to do this sort of thing, make sure you take lots of pictures so you know exactly what wire goes where before you start cutting things and removing things. These wires have been twisted and soldered. I won't be able to do the twisting thing on the new ones, but there are multiple terminals. I will explain that too. So let's just get snipping. Here we go. Normally you'd want to make sure the capacitors, if you're going to be touching these things, are fully discharged. But in the case of these, there are resistors attached to both terminals, and they are there to ensure that these capacitors are discharged anyway as soon as the unit's powered off, or very, very quickly. So there'll be no concerns there. So let's just start snipping. Keep that as well. Okay. So that's everything snipped from there. Let's just snip this one too. So now that these are snipped, I can flip it back over and loosen the brackets so that I can get these out. Okay, so time to get these brackets off, because we need these brackets for the new capacitors. So you're going to need, that is a 7mm nut. Wait, will a 6mm work? No. So a 7mm nut and then screwdriver to loosen. Oh, that didn't work very well. But that might have done the job. There we go, and we can slide that off. Cool. One. Now, going to go and give these a clean. I like things to be clean, so I'm going to go give these a quick clean, and then we're going to clean in here before I replace the new capacitors. Brackets are all nice and clean now, and now is a really good time to get in here, now we have good clear access, and clean this chassis as much as we can. If you want to, of course. You don't need to, but I'm going to. Now a toothbrush could be good for this. I've just got some, basically some dish soap, as it's quite a good degreaser. And it's gentle, as the adverts say. So a toothbrush could be good. I've got kind of a mid stiffness wire brush because some of this looks quite stubborn. And I've put some paper towel underneath. If you can see the white under there, it's just a couple of pieces of paper towel. It's very unlikely to come up perfect. We're just looking for clean and improved. Okay, well, some improvement made. You're not going to get it perfect, but all the crustiness is gone. To the touch, it feels really smooth now. And that's as good as that's going to get. It is 50-year-old metal after all. So next up, we're going to take these capacitors, the new ones, and slide them into these brackets. And as you can see, that's why it's important to get ones the same diameter. Just makes life so much easier. So I'm going to get all 3 of these fitted in their brackets and come back. Okay, so there we go. We've got all 3 now mounted in their brackets, so they can just be plonked back on top. Something to note with these larger ones is that they aren't the same as the old ones. So here's one of the old ones, And they've got 2 pins, one positive, one negative, and they're long pins and multiple wires can be wrapped around them. These ones have got short stubby pins and there are multiple. That's because they're just made slightly different. They do the same job, but they're made slightly different. So what you have on this one is 2 positive terminals, 2 negative terminals, and then this one is just a stabilizing terminal for board mounting, which we're not doing. So, but because we're using these brackets, we don't need to worry about that. So that is just null and void. You can ignore that. What we're worried about is the 2 positive and the 2 negative. And if you remember, a lot of the old ones had 2 joins per terminal, and we don't need to worry about doing that because these do exactly the same job. So we can just solder one to one and one to the other, and there's your positives. Likewise on the negatives. So that being said, let's get these mounted to the chassis and flipped over. One thing to note is that you want to orientate these whichever way makes most sense for the wires underneath. So I could mount them there, flip it over, and then realize that I would have rather the negative being over here. So you could either loosen the bracket and spin it, or you could simply remove, reorientate, and fix down again. So we'll get these mounted, and then we'll get them wired up. Well, that's them 3 capacitors all wired up now. We've just got this tiny little capacitor to do on the other side underneath the bulbs and replace the bulbs, and then we're going to power it on the dim bulb and see how we're looking. Now, in order to replace this last capacitor under here with this, I need to remove this plate on here. And I also need to remove this front panel here so that I can get to the bulbs. So off we go, nearly there. As you can tell, there are 2 screws because I have a screwdriver. One plate removed. And this last capacitor, those are the legs of it there. So I just need to desolder these 2 pads, get that one out, and put the new one in. Positive there, negative there. There we go. There we are. Good to go. And for the bulbs, we need to remove this panel here. And apparently you need to be super careful with this because this needle breaks very easily. So wish me luck with this. There are 2 screws here and 2 screws here that will remove this. And then I believe there are 2 more here. And then we should be able to get that front panel off and get to the bulbs. Looks like these outer ones you don't have to fully remove. You can just loosen them like so. And that little metal bracket there moves out of the way. So that's cool. These look like you've probably got to remove these. I'm worried about this dial pointer now. Couldn't be trying any more to be careful. Okay, good. That's out of the way. And now this piece should just pop off, but again, need to be careful of that. He says. Oh, God. Please stay out of the way. I might put something behind there to keep that out of the way. There we go. Right, stay there. Is it glued? It seems to not be glued at the top and just glued along the bottom. So you need to gently... Oh, I really don't want to break this. Hang on, let me find something to... Okay, be very, very careful when you're doing this because you don't want to break this. It seems to be coming away now. Yeah, I'd say the way to do that is to kind of get under and pry it outwards like that rather than trying to peel it away like that, because I think you stand more chance of snapping it that way. So, but there we go. You can see there it's got like a double-sided tape. We'll give that a bit of a wipe before we put that back on. Right now, you can see where the bulbs are. See up in there, you've got those like, they look like fuses. Those are the bulbs. That's for those of you that don't know. For everybody else that already knows, I apologise. Okay, so to get those out, probably just a flathead screwdriver. And pop down, and they should just roll out. Right, there we go. That's how easy they come out. These are the original, very dull, very dim, incandescent bulbs. So I will be replacing these with, I've got a stash of bulbs here, but warm white is what I want because I feel that's closest to the incandescent bulbs that were in there. So I'm going to keep it as original looking as possible. So I need 6, I believe. So I'm going to use these, kind of like needle nose pliers, if you like, to try and pop them on. That board is unstable. There we go. Just like that. Let's do them all. That's those replaced. There are also 2 more in here, behind here. So let's get those done quickly. To access those, you need to remove these 2 screws here. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to show you. You can see where they are. They're vertical rather than horizontal. They're popped in that way, but I think I'm going to have to do it by feel. And I'm not going to be able to show you it. So there's one out. Oh, same thing, incandescent. Cool. So 2 more warm white LEDs. And I guess you want the bulb facing that way so that it's actually facing the meter at the front. Happy with that? So let's get that back on where it should be. Before I get this clean and put the dial face back on, I just want to make sure all these bulbs are working. So let's check those. So let's do a dim bulb test because it's been a little while. And if we're all good on the dim bulb, then we'll try these functions and check that the lights work okay. Dim bulb time. So time for another dim bulb test then. Let's get it plugged in. Get it switched. That's off. Good. On. Get it powered on. Hopefully we don't get a bright bulb. Yes. And we got a relay click. That's very good. We haven't done a dim bulb test since I've changed the filter capacitors. So the fact that we got the relay click as well is a reassuring thing. So that's great. And I can see that those lamps have lit up there, which is great. Let's bring you in. Now, all I want to test is that these bulbs here are working. You can see that one is. Oh, and I still need to clean these. I forgot. I still need to clean these switches, these push switches. They're really stiff and feel sticky, but works, does not work. What is that one? That is phono 1, no light. Phono 2, and that last one, auxiliary, that does not work. Okay, so we need to replace bulbs 3, and 6. But interestingly, none of the speaker selectors work, the bulbs. So either there's a wiring problem for this side, or all 3 bulbs have gone. So I will check bulbs first. Well, time to remove this plate again because I need to inspect the switches and the light bulbs under here. So, just can't catch a break. I've hooked a couple of wires up to the terminals for this bulb. I'll run a bit of power through it separately through my power supply. Put this on. I'm only doing this because my leads are so short, as you can see. But I'll show you what I mean. I've got an old incandescent bulb here that I know works, and if I hook this up to, let's give it 8 volts and it won't draw a couple of amps, but let's just say we give it 8 volts. And, oh, there you saw it. Oh, there we go. Lights up, no problem. So, just to see if there's anything wrong with this bulb, I'm going to hook these up to this and see if that bulb lights up. And it does not. It does not light up. Okay, so I know for sure that bulb is dead. So it could be that all 3 bulbs are gone. I'll try the other 2. There. Same thing on the second bulb. Same thing on the third bulb. Okay. So, having done my quick little test, I believe all 3 bulbs are gone, and that's the problem. Could be that a fuse or something shorted at some point and blew them all at the same time, or it could just be coincidence that all 3 have gone, but we need to replace all 3 bulbs. These aren't easy to get out, these. Weld themselves or glue themselves to the rubber there. Because of the heat of it all, these incandescent bulbs get really hot over the years. There we go. Now, if I do that same trick where I get my 2 wires and hook one over there and hook one around here, hook one up to here and touch the other end on here, we should have light. There we go. So it's definitely the bulbs. Just a coincidence then. Let's get them all done. Now's a good time to clean these because I've got full access. Okay, so I've got 3 new bulbs put in there now. The old one's down here. Unfortunately, I've just run out of those bulbs, which is a bit of a shame and a bit frustrating because I've got 2 gone here that need replacing. So we're going to worry about that in a minute. I'll come up with something, I'm sure. But for now, we're going to get these remounted. So let's get that done, then move on to these next. Change of plan. I'm going to quickly clean these switches up here. As we've got access, it's a good time to do so. Put some paper towel behind. Cool, happier with that now. Put that one back. Can you see that down there? This black wire has snapped off, so I need to resolder that in a moment. Glad I spotted that, because it's all hanging here. It's not the best. The reason I'm doing this is because I need these switches to be cleaned. This is kind of the best way of getting to them. Just gotta be careful of all these other boards. Okay, good. Good, let's pop that back. Much better. Now these horrible sticky ones, got to do these now. And the bulbs. But I need to find 2 bulbs. This is the benefit of having some old donor units kicking around. I've got this old Trio KR3090 and I've been nicking bulbs. And there's another. So, oh, I'll snip them out then. The other one slipped off easy in that, but I'll cut this off and then I'll remove this rubber grommet somehow and we'll just use these. That'll do for now. Okay, so stole a couple of bulbs from other units. Not ideal, but I don't have any in stock, so this will do for now. And if I get round to working on those other units, I'll just replace those with new ones, but this will do for now to get this done. I've tested them, they work. They're warm white incandescent, so they should work. Let's go with these. Right now, just concentrating on getting this back on. I've fitted this board back to this front panel, and I'm just about to put this on and fit everything else to it to get this all back together now. Now, time to put things back together. Give this a bit of a quick blow. That's what she said. Cool. I've given this a quick wipe down with just water and a microfiber cloth. So now it's time to put it all back. I'm very scared of this. No! Did you see that? Oh no! No! The pointer just fell off. Oh no, I'm gonna have to try and glue this in. Oh man, that sucks. Do we do that after? Did we get... Yeah, let's do that after. It's pointless doing that now. God, not wrong about those being delicate. Wow. Let's just out of the way. Well, at least I haven't got to worry too much now, because most of the damage is already done. That sucks. I guess the idea is that that holds it. Yeah, okay, fine. So let's just get these tightened up. Oh, that needle. No way. Okay. I think it might be dim bulb time. Right, so all the bulbs now replaced, all of them, even the faulty ones that weren't working. Now, need to check that they're working, but we need to check the dim bulb as well. So, gonna hook it up through there, make sure we get no bright light, and then see if all the bulbs now work. I'm really praying that they are. As you would have seen, I had a real mishap and the bloody pointer needle was falling off. I was doing so well as well. So I'm going to try and glue that back on. But we'll do this test first, and then we can worry about gluing the needle on after that and then putting it back together. So fingers crossed, no bright bulb. Where's the plug? That's in the off position. That's on. Please no bright bulb. Thank goodness for that. That looks incredible. I heard the relay click. That looks good, doesn't it? Can you see from there? This now looks amazing. The warm white bulbs have really, really worked amazingly well. That looks fantastic. So I'm really pleased with that. I guess now we need to see if... There we go. I've got all the bulbs. Those three are replaced. So those now work. It was just the bulbs then, for sure. And then we had... Oh, it's working, because it was that one that wasn't working, wasn't it? So we've got AM, FM, phono 1, phono 2, mic, and auxiliary. That's a little bit dim, that one, but it was a bulb I pinched from elsewhere. But I'm okay with that. A little bit dim, don't mind, that'll do me. No, ignore what I said. I changed my mind. I went and ordered some new incandescent bulbs and replaced it because I couldn't be having that one dim one. It would have just bugged me. So now you know, all good. Oh, amazing, amazing, amazing. Okay, good. I think it looks amazing. I'm loving the lights. It looks really, really good. So I'm very pleased with that. This has taken me so long. I've been at this, just this internal recap. This is day 3 and it's getting quite late. So 3 days this has taken me so far. Whew. Anyway, I'm going to get this needle fixed best I can. And then get the front all back together. And then we'll do one final test on the dim bulb. And then we'll start adjusting the biases, which is important to do on the amp board. So let's get going, shall we? We're near the finish line. I can taste it. So I don't know what to try, really. I've got a Super Glue XL gel from Gorilla Glue, so I'm going to give that a go. I've tried a quick drying super glue, but wasn't successful, so I'm hoping the gel type might be a little better. This little tray here, if I put some on that. There you go. You can see it's kind of like a gel consistency. May or may not be able to see. Oh, it's that time of the day or time of the project where everything's just a mess and you've got stuff everywhere, so I really need a good tidy up. But we're going to leave that 10 minutes and come back. Well, that glue took a long time to dry, so it's now the next day. I had to leave it overnight. I checked on it multiple times yesterday towards the end of the day, and it had to be left overnight. It was just taking a long time to dry. So finally dried, thankfully, and I've touched it lightly to make sure it doesn't move. It's staying still, but I don't want to demonstrate. I don't want to risk breaking it again. You saw me break it last time. I'm not doing it a second time, but it's on there, so I'm leaving it alone. So the needle pointer's now back on. That's good. I'm finished now. We're changing everything inside. All the capacitors, bulbs, resistors, transistors, everything that I needed to replace is done, which is awesome. I think I want to do one last test on the dim bulb, make sure that's okay. And then we will plug it into the mains and set the DC offset and biases before wrapping this one up. So let's try one more time on the dim bulb and hope that we're looking good. And let's get these last bits done, shall we? Let's do it. Right, so for the last time then, let's try this dim bulb. Get it plugged in, get that on, make sure that's off. Yep, on. We're crossing fingers again. Last time, please no bright bulb. Whew, good. Thank God for that. Okay, great. I'm loving how that looks now. That looks amazing. And my dial pointer is nice and it's working, so leaving that alone too. So great, I'm really pleased with this. All that's next now, I'll turn this off. I'm going to flip it back over, get it plugged into the mains, and then we can do the last couple of bits. So let's get going, shall we? We're nearly there. So I said flip it over, but actually it's much easier on its side. So I've got the amp up on its side. We are about to adjust the DC offset. So I've got my multimeter, haven't even turned it on yet, and I've hooked it up. You've got the negative lead clamped to chassis or ground, and I have the positive lead fixed to this tiny little mini grabber on pin 5 of the amp board. They are numbered, but you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I've got the little mini grabber attachment attached to pin 5. So we can start adjusting the DC offset. Now quickly, the reason for this is because unwanted DC offset can cause distortion in the sound, but it can also destroy speakers. So it's not something you'll want to be skipping, and it only takes a couple of minutes to do as long as you know how to do it. So got the negative there, positive on pin 5 on the amp board, which is access underneath, and it's adjusted on this side using a couple of those blue trim pots that I've fitted. So I've hooked up some speakers, got the volume on minimum, put the output to auxiliary, and let's get this turned on to DC. Now we can power the unit on, flick it on. Now what you want to do is leave it a minute while it settles. So we'll leave this 1 minute and then we'll come back round this side and I'll show you how we adjust it. Okay, so it's been a couple of minutes and it's just sitting still at 80 millivolts, which is too high. We want this really to be as close to 0 as possible, but below 10 is okay. So you can adjust this one. This is for the left channel, adjusted here on this pot. So if I put and use a plastic screwdriver, not a metal one, if I put this in here and very carefully adjust it, I'm turning this clockwise. That is absolutely perfect. So that's that one done. Now we move on to the other one. So I'll show you that too. Okay, so back round this side, and I've moved the positive probe from pin 5 down to pin 20. There, just through that gap there, you can see it says 20. So that's pin 20. We're still on chassis ground. So at the moment it's reading 94 millivolts, but again, we'll give this a couple of minutes and then come back. Okay, so it's been another 3 minutes. We're reading 94 millivolts. So that is this trim pot here. So I'll go in. And again, I've got to go clockwise. Well, I'm tempted to leave it there. I just did so well on the last one. It's very rare you get, the slightest touch. There we go. I'm leaving it there. Very pleased. Very, very pleased with that. Great. Cool. So next left to do now is just setting the bias. Right, so adjusting the bias then. I forgot to mention, once you're finished with the DC offset adjustments, you would power it off. So the unit's now powered off. And I've changed the negative probe to a mini gripper probe as well. And I've now attached them to pins 3 and 4 to do the left channel. As it says here in the service manual, point 4 here, what we're looking for, the DC voltmeter should be connected between terminals number 3 and 4. We'll do 22 and 23 after for the right channel. So we're doing the left channel at the moment. An adjustment should be made to bring the voltage to 30 millivolts. Whereas last time on the DC offset we wanted 0, this time we want 30. So we'll give it a couple of minutes again, let it settle down, and we'll give that a go. Okay, so it's been a couple of minutes. It's settled at 83 millivolts, and remember we want 30. So as we're on the left channel, it will be this adjuster right here, and we want to get down to 30. Clockwise again. Stay there. Yeah, cool. Right. Now we'll get them pins moved and we'll do the right channel. Okay, so the right channel then for the bias, which is adjusted here, we're set at 79 millivolts. Again, we want 30. Very likely going to be clockwise. Yeah, they all are. Let's get her on 30. You would, wouldn't you? Yes, perfect. Right, now, best practice is to recheck the DC offset, which was the job we did before this, just to make sure that we're still at 0. So I'll do that now. So this is the recheck of the left channel's DC offset. Hooked it up, same as before, powered it on, and it started at like 100 and something millivolts, but then just gradually over the course of about 60 seconds or so, it's dropped down to 4 millivolts, which really you want anything under 10. As there you go, it's about to drop to 3 millivolts. So it's just settling, but it looks very, very good to me. So I'm going to stop recording and I'm going to flick to the right channel and make sure that one's all okay before moving on. And there we are. That's what the right channel is looking like. DC offset straight away, 2 millivolts. Absolutely over the moon with that. Really pleased. I think if you leave it a couple more minutes, it will drop to absolute 0. But yeah, very, very happy. Next, all that's left to do now is unhook this, sit it upright, hook up an antenna and run the unit for the next hour or 2. Okay, so DC offset checked and adjusted, biases adjusted. I'm really, really pleased with this. All that's left to do is to test it. And you do that by fitting an antenna, make sure it's hooked up to some speakers, and you run it on FM radio and just leave it for an hour or 2 and check on it regularly, making sure that this heatsink here in the amp isn't getting hot. So if that isn't getting hot, then the voltages are all fine and we're good and we have no problems. So that's the last thing to check. So I'm going to power it on. Got my relay click. I'm going to select FM, tune it into a station that I know that will have half decent signal. Now hopefully you can't hear that too loud because of my mic settings and because of copyright strikes. So hopefully you couldn't hear any of that. But it's playing. We'll turn it up and I'm going to leave it for a good hour or 2, check on it regularly and make sure that that heatsink isn't getting hot. As I say, we're nearly there. We're almost complete with this. I'll see you in a moment. Well, it's been nearly 2 hours and all is good. Very, very good. Hardly any heat at all coming off of the heatsink. And it sounds great. It sounds really, really good. I've even hooked a CD player up to it just to test it to see what that sounds like as well. And it does sound very good. I'm not going to show you right now. But yeah, it's been a real success. So I'm very, very pleased. It's taken pretty much 4 days and over 20 hours, I think, all in to do everything that you've seen in this video. But I'm really, really happy. So obviously we're not done yet. Still lots to do with this receiver, but at least all the internals are complete and finished and I'm really, really happy with it now. It functions exactly how it should. I've got this to pop back on yet, which is just the trim above the lamp circuit board. 2 screws, very, very simple. But if you've seen the earlier videos, you know what kind of condition the outside is like in this. So we've still got the wooden case to sort. We've still got the wooden walnut trim pieces to make. We've still got the faceplate to completely clean, repaint the black metal frame around the front of the faceplate. Got a missing knob to replace, but that's turned up. So I've got that now. And then there's also some other cosmetic stuff, the feet to do, the base plate to do. There's still plenty to do, but that's all going to be in the next video. So the next video will be getting the outside looking gorgeous so that we have one stunning receiver at the end of it. So stay tuned for the next one. Hit subscribe if you haven't already, and then you can be notified once that video is ready. Thank you so much for watching this one. If you've watched this far, that was about 20 plus hours work. I know there are more than 150 video clips for me to combine into one seamless video, so it's going to take me some time. I hope the final product was worth it, and I hope you enjoyed watching it. And thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all on the next video. Cheers.